and welcome to the Powerline Park GNCC and another muddy weekend here in Ohio. We've got some great racing action coming up, but first, let's head on down and check in with Jason Wygant.
Well, thanks, Rodney. It has not been a banner day for GNCC racing so far. We have had rain and rain and rain and rain. But that actually makes it kind of fun out here. It's going to be super muddy. Some ATVs going to try to climb this hill behind us. It's going to be a wild weekend with the bikes, the ATVs. Racers of all ages are going to be out here trying to battle what's going to turn into a big mud bath. So it's going to be fun to watch. We're going to be trackside keeping our eyes on it.
Another guy we're going to be keeping an eye on is that number 167 of John Natale. He's your GNC ATV National Motocross Champion, trying his hand here at the GNCCs. As we take a look at more of our starting lineup, Johnny Gallagher, the number 18 out of Aurora, an Ohio native, could do well here in the mud today. And the number 2 of William Yoakley, who won a mud race earlier this year down in Tennessee. And he is vying for that number 3 spot in the championship. And that guy right there, vying for the championship, he could seal it all here today and claim his 6th Grand National Cross Country Championship, even with the hard-fought efforts from that rider right there, the number 3 of Chris Borch, who has made a valiant effort but has come up just a little short. Today will tell the story, though. Brian Cook wore that number 6, and there's Brian Baker, the number 23, both posting really good races at our Unadilla round of GNCC. Taking a look at our points leaderboard now, Bill Balance with a 59-point lead over Chris Borch. It's going to take a near miracle in order for Borch to take the championship here in 2005 as we head down for the start of our 2005 Powerline Park GNCC round number 12 of America's premier off-road racing series, the Suzuki Grand National Cross Country Championship. As we jump on board our Scott Goggles helmet cam with William Yoakley, and a look at that hole shot. And again, Bill Balance takes the early lead, but he's got company there out of the number 3 of Chris Borch. Borch is knocking on the door, as well as several other of our top pro riders, and Borch will take over the lead after Balance grabs the early hole shot. Man, what a hard-fought battle through those first few turns as we head on back and take a look at that hole shot one more time, thanks to our friends at FMF. Here's the way it all broke down. Once again, Bill Balance gets off to a great start, and he is the master in turn number 1, but Chris Borch has got some great momentum coming up from the outside, and he challenges Balance right off the bat, and it's side-by-side racing. Right here you can see Balance still has it, but Borch was able to make the pass as we head on down the road number 2. It's our Pro-Am division off and rolling now. One to keep an eye out on is the number 63 of Scott Barron, the top ace in this class since Adam McGill graduated to the pro ranks. We'll see if he's able to take another win here in this 2005 season as it's side-by-side duking it out. Looks like the 706 of Dwayne Johnson, the 19 of Rob Hertz, and Scott Barron, all 3 through that first few turns. Row number 3 now, our Open A division as we head into the first turns. Craig Reed, the 187. Also Brandon Summers, the number 784 out of Millersburg, Ohio. One to keep an eye out here as we get off and rolling. Looks like Summers getting off to somewhat of a decent start there. Reed also knocking on the door. Also watch out for the 53 of Timothy Gale, who's been coming on strong here in this 2005 season. As we look at the 4-stroke A now, it is row number 4, the 4-stroke A division, and these riders, again, very competitive in this class. Zach Phillips, the 770 from Thornton, West Virginia, one to keep an eye out on. Also the 47 there of Travis Stiles, looking like he's going to grab the early lead. He's from Marietta, South Carolina, on board that Honda. Row number 5 now is our junior division. Junior division having about 15 riders in today's class, and again, a very competitive class as our early leader there nearly toppling over. Can't grab the number on that. We'll see if we can grab that. Barely missed it right there, but keep an eye out for the 605 of Jeff Bensel, also the 75 of Jim Pinkston, and 608 of Chad Wallace as we head down the row number 6. 2 classes on this row. Our senior class, riders 40 years of age and older, and also our 2-stroke A and B divisions. 6 riders in the 2-stroke A and B division as that class is slowly dwindling away as 4-strokes have obviously become the thing of the present and the future in GNCC and all forms of off-road racing. Watch for Joey Margaria, the number 98 in the 2-stroke A class. And as we head down to row number 7, it is our vet class as we move up to our 30-year and older class riders. John Rowling, the number 50 from LaGrange, Kentucky, always the man to watch out for here, as well as the 375 of Brian Davis and Blaine Schick. Never count out the number 33 out of Cranberry, Pennsylvania, as he is always a threat in that vet class. Heading down to row number 8 now, it is the Open B division, and it looks like we got about 29, nearly 30 riders tackling turn number 1 here. Watch out for 426 Gabe Phillips out of Thornton, West Virginia. There's 92 of Craig Wilson out of Crooksville, Ohio, and also the 216 of John Howard. He's from Fredericksburg, Virginia. making his way up from the south to race here in the Buckeye State for this 12th round of Suzuki GNCC racing. As we head down now, I believe it'll be row number 9. It is our 4-stroke B as they are off and rolling now. 30-plus riders in this class. Number 185, Donald Ackerman. Keep an eye out for him out of Marshall, Illinois. Also, Michael Howell, the 231 from Woodsfield, Ohio. And the number 334 of Christopher Stevens, all the way from Wayne, West Virginia, down in Wayne County, just south of Huntington. And, of course, we've got mixes from all over the Midwest and also our southeastern region of the United States tackling the trails here in Ohio. And our 10th and final row is our sport class division. Not a lot of riders in this class today, 11 as a matter of fact, but watch out for Josh Konachek, the number 936. He's out of Avella, Pennsylvania, and also Tom Barbowitz, number 160. Those two have been going at it all year long in this sport division. By the way, Barbowitz out of Waterford, Pennsylvania, and also Travis Bell, the 524 from New Brighton, PA. A lot of Pennsylvania natives out of that sport class. As we head out now on the trail and check in with our lead riders at the 1.5 mile marker. It's still the number 3 of Chris Porch. Bill Balance back in the number 2 spot. Chris Jinks in third. William Yoakley back and forth, and watch the dust fly. We expected to see a lot of mud here, but on the side of these hills in the woods, not a whole lot of mud, but in the low-lying areas, there's big mud holes. Let's talk to Bjorn Hammock, our trail boss today.
There's ways around all the big mud holes and the hills. We cut 3 or 4 lines around all the hills. The guys just look before they start to dive up a hill. If somebody's stuck, there's a way around it. So today is not the fastest rider, it's the smartest rider who looks at big lines and everything. It's not that bad. It really isn't. It's slick, real slick, good tires. I wouldn't even think about going out there with a bad set of tires, so good tires is a must today.
No doubt about that. Good tires, especially when you look at conditions like this right here. This part of the trail here where there's more mud on this part of the trail, but as the race wears on, look for this maybe to look a little bit, more dusty and chewed up like the sides of some of those other hills are, but we'll just have to wait and see how it all works out. A lot of clay in this Ohio dirt. Not nearly as bad as the John Penton GNCC as far as the clay is concerned, but it's still rather slick out there, but doesn't seem to stick to the machines as heavily as it did down at the John Penton. Also, this was very dry conditions leading up until yesterday, just prior to the race, when the rain showers actually made their way in. And that's another reason. We have a lot of hard dirt underneath that, so it hasn't had a real chance to soak in real deep. But some much-needed rain falling here. It's making it a little slick and a little bit sloppy for these ATV riders. But overall, it's going to make course conditions so much better. Out near the 4 mile marker here on lap number 1. Bort still out front. This late in the season, championship hopes out the window. You got to wonder what keeps him going.
Just see how I finish. I mean, it's a mud race. Anything can happen today. Just looking for a good finish. Hopefully I can... Looking to win the last 2, but I said I wanted to win the last 4, and it went backwards on me, so we'll go from here.
Well, he's off to a good start with 2 races left to go in the season. At the 4.5 mile marker, he still leads Bill Balance here on lap number 1. But again, lap number 1, it's early in the race and anything can happen. Yoakley back in that number 3 spot as he has worked his way from a 4th place position into 3rd around the Mickey Dunlap 4-stroke tech rider, which I believe again was Chris Jinks running in 3rd. And there's Andy Lagston's, the number 14 machine, holding on to a top 10 spot early on here in this race. As we check back in with Chris Boritz out near the 6 mile marker now, it looks like Boritz is beginning to open things up just a little bit over the number 1 Yamaha rider, Bill Balance. And there is Jinks back to the number 3 spot as he's gotten back around Yoakley. Yoakley drops off to 4th place, and we had a chance to talk with Chris Jinks this morning.
Yeah, put quite a bit of pressure on myself, especially after somewhat of a letdown at New York. I thought I had it wrapped up, and I guess you want to call it a mental lapse or bad luck, whatever. That kind of gives me some inspiration to stay after it and train and ride as much as I can and get ready for today. The mud's going to play a big factor into what's going to happen. Hopefully it'll turn out good, but you never know in the mud. Just go out here and do our best and see what happens at the end of the day. But being on the podium definitely helps, and all the help behind me, I can't let anybody down. I came this far, so I'm in the top 5. Just want to try to get the 3. I don't know what's going to happen from there, but just keep on doing my best.
Chris Jinks has had an exceptional season, and one really neat thing about it is he has not let it get to his head. He has stayed focused throughout this entire 2005 season with the podium that he's been able to secure, as well as the win that he was able to secure earlier at the Yakima Valley Stomp GNCC. As we check conditions out, beginning to be a little more favorable here on this hillside. As we were talking with Bjorn Hammock earlier, he was talking about multiple lines up each and every hill, and it looks like they're going to be needed throughout the course of this race day today as riders stall out like this rider here on the side of this hill at the 6-mile marker does. And there is at least 3 lines up the side of this hill, and they just pick and choose as they make their way through. The only thing that they got to worry about is what the guy ahead of them does. If they decide to follow the guy in front of them, they better hope that he doesn't get stuck in one of those deep ruts that's starting to develop in portions of that hill. Look how different those 2 lines are. One is very slick and hard-packed. The other is very rutted and very deep. And there's the deep one, and it's dusty and beginning to kick up a lot of dust. Out here, you still got that hard-packed kind of a slick mud condition. And just amazing the difference that 15 feet can make on the trail. Actually, less than that, probably about 10 feet on that trail. It's a little bit powdery and more loam, as there appears to be more clay, and it actually got a little bit wetter and a little bit more packed down, so that's the reason we're seeing the differences there. But amazing. If you get off onto that deep rutted section there, if your machine doesn't have enough clearance, you could find yourself getting stuck like that right there, realizing he doesn't want in that line, so he moves right on over to the slick line. He'll take the wheel spin over the deep ruts. Borch still out front near the 8.5-mile marker, balanced in the number 2 spot. Chris Jinks back in 3rd with William Yoakley still holding on to a 4th place position. He'll take that over that DNF at Unadilla last week. We talked with him earlier.
Well, hopefully Rachel, I come out and get a good win or get a good finish. Last week I had a little problem in the transmission. Something broke, but had a really good ride going. I was pretty happy with everything. Bike was working good as always, and but I like these conditions today. It's the rain, and it's going to be a lot of fun, you know. Just going to go out there on a day like today. I just like to go relax and just have fun, and it usually all comes together. So, and I'm totally confident in the Suzuki today. It does awesome in the water and mud, and as long as I prepped it right, you know, it should be good to go. And like I said, I feel good about today, and so I see what happens.
William Yoakley always feels good. There goes the number 11 of Michael Houston, making his way by the 8.5-mile marker, trying to play catch-up with the front part of that top 10. There went Chad Duvall aboard the number 5 machine. Matt Smiley looks like he may be struggling just a little bit here in the early part of this race, and also Brandon Balance way back in the pack as we end lap number 1. Chris Borch out front, Bill Balance in 2nd, and Chris Jinks in that number 3 spot and still knocking on the door from back in 4th place. He is, of course, William Yoakley. As we take a look at our official Suzuki leaders board now to see how it's all breaking down. It is Borch, Balance, Jinks, Yoakley, and Matt Smiley rounding out the top 5 here at the Powerline Park GNCC. Picking the action up out on pit row on lap number 2. An early pit stop for our leaders here as Borch is in for a fresh pair of gloves, goggles, and also some of that Klotz gasoline. Balance is in, also the number 7 of Chris Jinks, and Borch is out now. The number 3 machine off and rolling as he adjusts those Scott goggles and makes the hard right-handed turn at the end of pit row. And Jinks moves into the number 2 spot as Balance a little slow to get out of the pits. Here comes the number 4 Smiley as he moves into 3rd now, and Yoakley in 4th place position. Look like Adam McGill rounding out the top 5 after that pit stop for our leaders. And what happened to Bill Balance out there? It looks like he was a little slow to get out of the pits. There's the number 18 of Johnny Gallagher, the Ohio native, with GT Thunder's Lazarus Summers, one of his major sponsors, fueled him up with that Klotz fuel and the fresh Scott goggles now as Gallagher is off and rolling securely in the top 10 with the number 14 of Andy Lagston's right behind him. And there's the number 13, or should we say 167 GNCC Racing. That is John Natale, your ATV National Motocross Champion, trying his hand at GNCC Racing. And it doesn't look like he's doing too bad of a job here as Michael Houston is in and out of the pits in the Mickey Dunlap 4-stroke tech pits. Looks like possibly a rough start for him. And also a rough start for this rider right here, the number 9 of Brandon Balance, as he gets fresh gloves, fresh goggles, and some gasoline. Looks like they're cleaning off those handlebars as well, the grips, so that he can hang on. And Jimmy Duff, the crew chief there, giving him the last-minute instructions before he heads back out here on lap number 2 to try to duel in the Ohio mud. There's the number 3 of Chris Borch. Balance dropping out of that number 2 spot momentarily. Let's check in with Jimmy Duff, find out what happened.
Sometime during that lap, he trashed his goggles, so we put a brand new set of Scott goggles on him, put all his gloves on him. The next lap we'll actually be pitting for gas and probably the same thing, goggles and gloves. So he's in a good spot where he's at for a championship.
And that's what they're thinking right now is championship. No need to go out and hang it all out and try to win the race when all you got to do is score top 5 to win the championship. That's exactly what the Balance Racing crew is trying to achieve here today. Man, I tell you, I'm really impressed that number 13, or should I say the 167, of John Natale, the GNC ATV National Motocross Champion, as he is holding steady in a top 10 spot out here. And meanwhile, Brandon Balance trying to work his way up through. There's the number 5 of Chad Duvall, who is also trying to work his way back up through the pack. And there's Brandon Balance we were talking about there a moment ago, the number 9 machine. He's off and rolling. He's got a little bit of ground to make up, but still plenty of time to get it done in, as we are out near the 1.5-mile marker here on lap number 2. Pro riders getting mixed in with some of our pro am riders, as a little bit better here. A little dusty. We've seen some slick conditions there a few moments ago, and here's that section we were talking about a few moments ago. Part of it was dry and dusty, and part of it was actually a little on the slick side, depending on which line you actually took in this section of the course. And right now it appears that everybody's taking the dusty line. A little root action beginning to develop there, but it's going to keep the traction for these riders as they tackle these hills here in Ohio. A very beautiful area of Ohio indeed, and it depends on, I guess, who you are and where you're at, whether it's beautiful or not. That rider stuck on the side of the hill here at the 2.5-mile marker probably could stand to argue a little bit with that. But again, check out the lines that are developing, and check out the number 167 of the tally closing in on the top 5 right now, as we're out near the 3-mile marker. This is Jake still in second. Back in third is Smiley aboard the number 4. It is the number 2 of William Yoakley. He's in the 4th place position. In 5th spot, the 66 of Adam McGill, and back in 6th place, the number 1 of Bill Balance, trying to keep these guys as honest as possible after some problems in the pits. A little bit slower pit stop than everyone else out there. And then furthermore, the number 66 of McGill didn't even stop on the second time around, so he was able to gain some advantage. This rider right here, the number 167 of John Natale, holding on to a top 10 spot and working his way up. There's Michael Houston aboard the number 11 machine, as he is also holding on to a top 10 position here on lap number 2 at the 3-mile marker. And don't count Natale out for a top 5 before this one's all said and done. Lap 2, the 4-mile marker. It is still Boric out front. Jinx in second. Smiley still holding on to the number 3 spot. Yoakley still in 4th place. McGill still, no, make that the number 1. A Balance back up to the number 5 spot. And McGill drops off to 6th place now, as it looks like the number 7 spot belongs to the 14 of Andy Langston's. Langston's having a spectacular year. Natale back about the 8th place position now, as we check in with William Yoakley and our pro tip of the week. I'm here with William Yoakley in our Suzuki Pro Rider Tip of the Week. And William, as we head into the last part of the season here, only a couple of races left, how do you keep yourself motivated, especially whenever you know the chances of a championship is out the window?
Well, you know, you come to each race to win that race. You know, it's a lot of times I try to keep that championship thing out of my mind, because a lot of times it will mess with you. And even though it is out of reach, I still, you know, we got one round left to go, and I want to end this season strong with a win. It always makes me feel good going into the next year. So, you know, and also I like to win the next race for all my fans and all the sponsors as well. And this is a great time of year as well for all the guys that are looking for sponsorship and help and everything. All these companies and manufacturers are right now closing deals in October. And then the fall time is a good time of year to start working on all that for the next year. And it's even a good time to start a little bit earlier than that. So, you know, when it comes this time of year, you're going to be wrapping it up. And so get everything lined out for next year. You know where what you're going to do, what you're going to be riding, and what you're going to be using, so you can be testing over the winter. And when it comes springtime, you're all ready to rock and roll.
Powerline Park GNCC Racing round number 12 of 13 as we pick the action back up here on lap number 2 at the 4.5-mile marker. Still no change through our top 5. Bill Balance still back in the 5th place position as he is knocking on the door to the number 2 of William Yoakley. There's the number 66, a recent addition to our pro class. He's running 6th right now. And Andy Langston still holding on to 7th place as we head out near the 6-mile marker. And this is, again, another one of those hills that has a lot of options as far as which lines to choose. And you can see each one of our pro riders are basically one's going one way, the other's going the next. And that is to try to gain some sort of an advantage over the fella in front of you. You can't race around a person if you're racing behind them too much. So you've got to try to find a line that's going to be a little bit quicker, one that might sneak you on by. But no passes being made this time around. Looks like Natale actually gaining some time there and nearly making a pass after taking that different line there on the side of this hill. Again, look at the differences in these lines. These riders are faced with conditions like this all across this racetrack. They go from the dusty conditions, the muddy conditions, the hard-packed slick conditions. There's a variety of different terrain that these riders have got to be faced with throughout the course of this race here in Ohio. And the good thing about this is we anticipated a lot of this weather that came our way, so a lot of the woods, a lot of the tighter woods were probably taken out of this, and a lot of the steeper hills were actually taken out of this particular race course to enable us to have as great a race as what we're able to have here at St. Clairsville, Ohio here in 2005 due to the muddy conditions. A lot of fire roads for these riders to race on, a lot of high-speed conditions, and then they get right into action just like what we're watching here with some of our Pro-Am, 4-stroke A, and 4-stroke B riders, since they are working their way up through the 6-mile marker now. And each one of these classes are all battling for their own championships and their own point standings in each individual class from the 2005 season. As we wrap up the 2005 season, this and only one more race to go, the Ironman GNCC. These riders are very serious and very focused on the way that they finish here at the end of the season in this Powerline Park GNCC. So they are trying their best, and we're going to get to see probably some of the better racing out of this particular race here at the Powerline Park. That's what we've got to see all year long, just simply due to the fact that these guys are battling now for the last few nitty-gritty points that they can squeeze out of this 2005 Suzuki GNCC Series. It has been a spectacular one, starting down in Texas, down in Gilmer, Texas, and moving our way all the way up here to Ohio, even to New York and a few other places, and even right here to Gus's Mud Holes. We check in with these guys on lap number 2, the 7.5-mile marker. It is still Chris Borich out front. It is Jinx in second. It looks like Yoakley has moved up to the number 2 spot, and Balance has moved up to a 4th place position now. As what happened to Matt Smiley, it looks like Smiley may be struggling just a little bit here as the race wears on. We're nearing the halfway point of the Powerline Park GNCC. Our first chance to take a look at Gus's Mud Hole, but folks, this one has been a hot spot. If you watch this DVD, check out some of the neat action that takes place in the morning racing action, because it gets a little bit sloppier down there for those guys, because some guys, they just don't know what to do. They don't know whether to hit it hard and fast or whether to hit it easy. And as we've seen in some of our pro tips from earlier this year, it's best to just ease your way through these sections of the race course. There's a rider we haven't seen a whole lot of in this latter part of the 2005 season. I believe that's the number 8 of Jeremy Rice, and there's the number 5 of our good buddy Chad Duvall, who basically started the revolution with these production model machines, winning the first ever pro production overall and the overall GNCC in Sparta, Kentucky in about 2002. It's been some time, but he has really helped the progress of what we see these guys racing on here today. And look how clean what Chris Borich is racing on here today is. He has been up front pretty much since about turn number 3 of this race, and he has let it, no one has actually flipped mud onto the front of his machine, so he's able to keep it clean and clear for the video cameras out in the woods, as Balance and Yoakley right now are in a duel for that number 3 position back there. It looks like Chris Jinks has dropped off a few positions, but still holding on to a top 10. There's the 14 of Langston. He's also still holding on to a top 10 position, even after struggling through some of these muddy conditions. Natali also struggling through some of the muddy conditions, but doing quite well for an ATV motocrosser. And, you know, if Natali gets this one figured out, I think the boys up front are probably going to be having some more competition, especially if Natali decides to race the rest of this season, and quite possibly if he even decides to race more in the future. You never know what a young, talented rider like John Natali has up his sleeve as far as his racing career is concerned. There's the number 5 of Chad Duvall, just outside the top 10 for that number 5 machine, as he has dropped back in the last lap or so of racing. But Chad Duvall is always one to count in there whenever it's all said and done. But just having some problems and some illness throughout this 2005 season has pretty much taken him out of contention for the most part. But when he's on, he is on. There's no doubt about that. There's our Open A riders and also some of our Pro-Am riders making their way up past the 9-mile marker here on lap number 2. And even checking in with some of those vet class riders. And if we look real close, you might even see a senior class rider or two. There goes Jeff Pickens, the number 39. He's a Pro-Am rider. As we head out near the end of, actually to the end of lap number 2. 2 laps to go as we head into lap number 3 now. Chris Borich has led this one almost from start to where we are right now, and he could lead it all the way to the finish. Although Balance did get the credit for the early hole shot, but it wasn't long after that Chris Borich passed and has not looked back here at this 2005 Powerline Park GNCC. As we check in with our Suzuki Leaders Board after 2 complete, it's Borich, it's Smiley in second, it's William Yoakley in third, Bill Balance in fourth, and Adam McGill rounds out your top 5. Back into the pits on lap number 3. They stopped on lap 2. This time around, though, Borich just gets fresh goggles, not even fresh gloves this time around. Let's see what happens. Is the number 4 of Matt Smiley going to stop? Yes, he does. Smiley will stop in the Safari Motorsports pits on that big Polaris machine as he is running a very solid race here in the Ohio mud. He'll get some Klotz fuel, he'll get fresh goggles, and he's off and rolling. But the number 2 of Yoakley will actually make the pass and move into the number 2 spot. That'll bump the number 4 of Smiley back to third. Jinx is back up to, well, what looked like fourth, but here comes Balance to re-secure at least 4th place position. Johnny Gallagher into the pits one more time. Looks like he's going to get some fresh gloves here. Don't know if he's going for the goggles. Doesn't look like they're going for the goggles, but he is going for the fresh gloves. Tough break. Stalls it out. Has to refire it. Back there in the Alba Action Sports crew, it is the number 167 of John the Tally trying to get rid of some of that extra weight off his helmet by actually taking a towel and wiping the helmet off, trying to keep his head up without actually straining himself too much. That helmet does get heavy once it packs up with mud. There's the number 5 of Chad Duvall. He's in for a pit stop. Looks like fresh goggles for him. Also some gas and some fresh gloves. He's going fresh all the way around. Let's check in with Jason Wygant, who's standing by in the pits.
Well, pit stops are always a factor in racing, but it's especially tough when it's a cold, wet, rainy, muddy day like this, because riders have to stop for goggles and gloves as well as gasoline. So it's just as chaotic here in the pits as it is on the racetrack. When they come through in another lap, we expect the order to get mixed up once again.
You know, it's just too bad these riders have got to be faced with the muddy conditions again here in 2005. But it doesn't look like the number 3 of Chris Borich has slowed down any whatsoever. As we're out near the 1.5 mile marker, he's still out front. Looks like Smiley's still in the number 2 spot, as the number 2 of Yoakley's back in 3rd and 4th place. The number 1 of Bill Balance as he holds steady there. And we check in with what looks like 5th place rider now, Chris Jinx. Jinx is holding steady back there in the number 5 spot. Also, Adam McGill still holding into a top 10 position securely with 6th place aboard that number 66. As we check a little further back, there's Natali. Here comes Andy Langston's the number 14 machine on the 31st Duncan Racing Honda machine. And lap traffic. Actually, that looks like a lapped rider from the vet class or sport class actually making his way by. There goes the number 23 of Brian Baker out of Missouri as he's got his machine up for sale. And the number 11 of Michael Houston also trying to keep the top 10 as honest as possible as this race wears on in St. Clairsville, Ohio, the Powerline Park GNCC. There's 12th place rider, number 5, Chad Duvall, making his way around the hills of Ohio. More riders checking in with us here at the 1.5 mile marker. That looked like a Mickey Dunlap 4-stroke tech rider. And there's the number 9 of Brandon Balance. He is struggling hard here in St. Clairsville for 2005. Also, the number 6 of Brian Cook appears to be struggling somewhat here about halfway through the race as we head out near the 3 mile marker now. It is still Borich. And there, oh, tough break there for that rider as he hits the tree, and another rider just comes up and tags him. He rolls right off, and here comes the battle for 2nd place. That is Yoakley. Yoakley going to try to get around now. And so let's take a look at that one more time. Bill Balance getting by also. So let's take a look at the way this one unfolds. The rider just hits the tree, stalls it out, not expecting anything to hit him from behind, just a small tap like that. Takes him right off the machine, and then the number 2 of William Yoakley comes by, and also we see back there out of the corner of the picture the number 1 of Bill Balance knocking on the door. As more riders check in with us here at the 3 mile marker, and that is becoming a tricky part of the racetrack, and a lot of riders are electing to go a little bit wider through this section of the course just because of how tricky it is to get around that tree. Out near the 4 mile marker now, Borich still a big lead. There's the number 2 of Yoakley in 2nd place, and he is in a heated battle. Looks like Matt Smiley and Bill Balance are right there knocking on the door. Adam McGill not far out of the picture in that battle for second place right now either, as it looks like a 4 or 5 man battle for the number 2 spot on lap number 3 here at Powerline Park. 4.5 mile marker now. There goes the number 3, Boric. Again, still the cleanest rider on the racetrack, and it looks like Yoakley has secured second place. Smiley running third, Balance in fourth place, and Chris Jinks now rounding out the top 5 as McGill still back there in 6th place, but having not as much luck as the other riders battling it out for second place there. 5 mile marker now. Saw Jinks there, and check out these roots. Look how nasty this section is, and you can see how rough it is. The camera does not do it justice, but you can see just how rough that is, and how just a small, slight mistake could cost you there in that turn, especially if you were watching the morning portion of this DVD. You see a lot of the morning class riders actually get hung up on the outside of that berm, and a lot of lines opening up right here in this section of the race course also. And we get to see it also here this afternoon, but not nearly as much as what we saw in the morning DVD. You'll have to check that out. As there goes the number 167 again. If you look on the back of his chest protector, it says number 13. He is your National Motocross ATV champion, again gracing us with his presence out here in the woods of Ohio. Welcome, John Natale, to GNCC Racing. Hopefully we'll be seeing a lot more of that Honda-mounted pilot. There's the number 11 of Houston, again still struggling back there just outside the top 10. And the number 9 of Brandon Balance also having fits here in the Ohio mud today. You know, he's got to be really disappointed with the couple of races that he's had, the last 2 races at Unadilla and also at the Yadkin Valley Stomp. 2 of the best races he's had here in the 2005 season, and to back it up here at Powerline Park the way things are going here today for him. You know he's got to be very, very disappointed with the way things are. 6 mile marker now. Here comes Boric, and Boric consistently using that far line. I think since lap number 1, I believe that the ruts are getting pretty deep on that next line over, so most of our pro riders will probably be electing that far line as their choice. But not that rider right there. I believe that was Jinks trying to gain an advantage, not able to do so. But, you know, nothing gained unless you try something. So didn't lose anything, but nearly gained a position. So he went for it there in that section of the race course. There went Baker aboard the number 23 machine. And there, just see how simple it would be to get hung up on a hill like that. Again, the camera does not do the size and the steepness of these hills any justice whatsoever. Nor does it do Gus's mud hole much justice. Our Yamaha spectator spot at the 7.5 mile marker. Chris Boric making his way through the far left side as he was directed by the mud fleas down there at Gus's mud hole. Also, William Yoakley going to elect to use that same line, and it seems to work out for him. And one thing you got to point out, these guys are going through there with some speed and momentum, but they are not flying through that section, trying not to suck up any of that water into the machines. As Mike Smiley makes his way through, also Chris Jinks, Bill Balance also motoring his way through. Should say motor boating his way through there, and also more of our pro riders just easing on through Gus's mud hole with good reason. Don't want to lose the race right here. You can maybe pass 1 or 2 people by blitzing the mud hole, but it can cost you more by sucking up that water and actually stalling it out if you were to actually do that, like that rider right there. Maybe came in a little bit too hot, sucked up a little bit of water, stalled it out. Fortunately for him, he didn't suck up enough to really stall him out completely. Andy Lagston's also easing his way through as we head out near the 8 mile marker now. And again, Boric, the cleanest rider on the racetrack, nearly getting stuck there as he is trying an alternate line, it looks like there. Might have cost him a little bit of time, but not enough for William Yoakley, our second place rider, to capitalize on it here at the 8 mile marker as Yoakley goes the old way around, and actually a little bit newer way than what he went last time, but he elects not to try that deep sandy stuff that the number 3 of Chris Boric faced himself with there only a few moments ago. As we end lap number 3, white flag conditions. 1 more to go. It's Boric, Yoakley, Smiley, Jinks, and Balance first through 5th. As we take a look at our Suzuki leaderboard, now heading back into pit row on lap number 4, and Boric does not stop, but it looks like Yoakley will aboard the number 2 machine as he needs, if nothing else, maybe a quick shot of water or even maybe a fresh pair of goggles. Looks like fresh goggles for the number 2 Yoshimura Suzuki rider as he makes his way out of the pits in second. There goes the number 1 of Bill Balance, who looks like he's working his way back up through the pack, maybe back onto the podium. 1.5 mile marker now here on lap number 4. Chris Borch on the gas. On the gas also in second place, the number 2 of William Yoakley. He's keeping the number 3 of Borch rather honest. Number 3 spot is number 4 of Matt Smiley, looks like, as Balance actually running in 4th place aboard the number 1 machine, and Chris King still in the top 5 back there aboard that number 7 machine. There's McGill aboard the number 66 as he's holding steady in the 6th place position, trying to work his way up. Looks like he's on a charge and closing the gap a little bit on that number 7 machine, and might be getting into a fight with him pretty soon for a top 5 position here on this final lap of racing. The 1.5 mile marker, Powerline Park GNCC, and here comes John Natale, still holding on to a top 10 position, solid here at Powerline Park. Good to see again Natale here with us as Brandon Balance. Looks like Balance may be working his way back up the back just a little bit, actually working into a top 10 position, as here goes the number 6 of Cook now, who's also struggled a little bit here in this particular race, but is working his way back up into the top 10. Also, Houston, the number 11 machine, he's had his troubles, but making his way back into a top 10 spot. You see that Chris Borch is not even, I guess you would say, immune to bumping into the trees in these slick conditions. Each and every rider as they go by there, if you notice, has kissed that tree with their rear wheel. There goes the number 1 of Balance, trying to go for a pass. Not sure if he's going to be able to make it there on that lap rider, but we'll check in just a few moments. If he doesn't get him there, he'll get him someplace else. But what's really funny is nearly every rider that goes by this section right here is kissing that tree with their right rear tire. And if they get in there and get held up too much, they could actually bend the rim and take, ruin the race day nearly. And you really got to watch what you're doing going through there. Right now, these riders are lucking out in that section. Lap 4, the 4.5 mile marker. Smiley still in 3rd place. It is Balance in 4th place for the number 1 machine, and Chink still rounding out the top 5 as they're all in the hunt for that rider right there, the number 3 of Chris Borch, who is finally looking like he's going to hold true to his word. He said he was going to win the last 4 races. Well, Yadkin Valley he didn't win, and of course Unadilla he didn't win after breaking that tie rod and kissing that tree about the 3 mile marker on lap number 1. But here today, he's finally able to pick up and do exactly what he said he was going to do. He's got this race and 1 more to go out on a winning note with, and that could set up some major momentum for that number 3 machine of Chris Borch heading into the offseason, as he is going to want to get another taste of a chance of winning a championship in 2006. He nearly had it in the early part of the season. It looked like he was on his way to doing it, and he kept Bill Balance at bay nearly all season long. But as the season winds on, it looks like that Balance is going to be able to actually pull this one out as long as he can stay steady in a top 5 position here at the Powerline Park GNCC today. The only thing that this guy right here can do is hope that things work in his favor. And I know Chris Borch is not wishing any ill will whatsoever on the champion, Bill Balance, but he is thinking about what 2006 could have to offer for that Honda Mountain Pilot GNCC Racing Series. 6 mile marker again. The multiple lines as these riders we see. Most of our pro riders have been electing to go to the far left line again here on this final lap of racing, yet some, like this rider here, chooses to go right straight up the middle there and try to cut the difference, split the difference between the short line and the long line, and hope that they can make up enough time to get them and keep them in this race. Natale also choosing the fast line, or the momentum line, I guess you say, on the outside. Really, I think that's turned into being the fast line. So we check in one last time here at the Yamaha Spectator section. Gus's mud hole. And poor old Gus definitely knows how to build a mud hole. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Right now, we're not getting a real indication of how deep this one is. But there's somewhat of an indication as what these riders are faced with. They're actually going up over their tires. And if you think about it, that's actually going up into their boots even. So if it goes up and over their boots, they could be faced with wet feet throughout the course of the race day. But again, watch that morning race. You'll see just exactly how deep that is here on the DVD. Lap 4 at the 8 mile marker, just a couple of miles away from the finish line. And the conclusion of this race, Borch is going to lead this one nearly wire to wire with the Yoakley back in second. And at the 9 mile marker, we have got trouble. This could spell disaster for our lead riders, especially if the number 3 of Borich finds this trouble. And that rider trying to get around actually goes over the side of the hill. Fortunately for the number 3 of Borich, rider's out of the way, and Borich is able to make his way up that soggy, sloppy hill. Still in the number 1 spot. Here comes Yoakley aboard the number 2 machine. He's holding steady. On the gas, we got a pass there. Was that a pass made for third place? Don't think it was. But Balance getting around that lapped rider there to hold on to the number 3 spot. Or is that Smiley? No, that's not Smiley. Smiley was running in the number 3 spot, but he has dropped off the pace, it looks like, unless that is Smiley. That Smiley actually held up behind that lapped rider now, telling the lapped rider to get out of his way. So Smiley back on the gas. He's going to try to hunt down the top 3 riders. And there's Jinx right behind him. So it's a battle for 4th place between Smiley and Jinx. But Smiley, not long ago, was in a top 3 position and was in the hunt, especially just before that hill, because he was right behind Balance. Balance making the pass on that lapped rider. The lapped rider got stuck on the hill. That changes the face of this Powerline Park GNCC podium, I am sure. There's the tally one more time. Again, solid in the top 10. He's been running about 7th place position for the last couple of laps here, and could finish very strong in the top 10 his first GNCC, at least in about a year or so. He's been out with us a couple of times before in the past, but never has taken it as serious as what he is taking it now, because he just come off of that big championship win. Closing in on the end of this race, Jason Wygant standing by at the finish line.
All right, last lap here in a muddy race, as you can tell, here in Ohio. Now here's a question. Chris Borich has been leading all day long, has had no problems, a relatively smooth day. But now his ATV is starting to produce some steam, some smoke, starting to have some problems. His pit crew, they want him to pull in. He's going to go for it. But will he make it to this finish line, or will his machine give up, and he might score no points today? He's going to let it all hang out and try to win this one.
As Jason Wygant takes a face full of mud, Chris Borich takes the checkers and the win here at the Powerline Park GNCC. Great race there for the number 3 machine, nearly start to finish.
Yeah, it was a good track. I mean, there wasn't that really many bottlenecks out there. It was just basically one line groove, and just kept her going there. Probably second lap, they were battling me down in that mud hole down there, and there was a whole bunch of lines. They were crisscrossing, but stayed out in front and pulled away then.
Well, Chris Borich is our champion here at Powerline Park GNCC, but our 2005 Suzuki GNCC champion for the 6th time is that rider right there finishing 3rd, Bill Balance, aboard the number 1 Yamaha. 2nd place finish goes to the number 2 of William Yoakley.
Yeah, it feels good. It's just a big relief, you know. It's been a rough year for me, starting the season off with the patellar ligament in my knee, and then breaking my leg up and crushing my ankle there in summer break. That was just I thought the championship was going to slip away, but just stuck our heads down and went to work and tried doing as much therapy as I could and hope for the best. And you know, here we are. Got a 3rd place today here, and got a race to go, and we got the championship wrapped up. Never thought it would end this way, but it's awful good.
It's awesome, Jason. Suzuki worked awesome today. That track was really slick, but it was a blast. I tell you, it was just all it was all polished and slick, and it was. We had a great battle all day long from the beginning. We was all up there dicing it out, and then once I got in 2nd place, Borich he then pulled away a little bit too much for us to reel in. But Bill and Matt was all over me, you know, back and forth, you know, for a couple of laps, and I just tried to ride hard and just keep looking forward and trying to catch Chris and not make any mistakes, and it all turned out pretty good. In 2nd place, it's good enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, can't win them all, and just luck wasn't on my side at the last race there. I mean, it was a brand new bike, and broke a spin on the 3-mile marker and just ended my day there and ended my chance of winning the championship. But that's how it goes. You can't win them all, and just come out stronger for next year.
Chris Borich wins the Powerline Park GNCC, but Bill Balance wins the championship here in 2005, as he is going to wear the number 1 plate for 6 consecutive years now. We look at the Suzuki Winner's Circle, and a good look at our champion, 6-time champion, Bill Balance. It's been the Grand National Cross Country Championship, round number 12, Powerline Park GNCC. On behalf of Jason Wygant, I'm Rodney Tomlin. Have a great day, everybody. The Grand National Cross Country Championship is sanctioned by the American Motorcyclist Association. Rights, Riding, Racing. AMA. Join now. Call 1-800-AMA-JOIN.